Good morning, dear friends. We're getting ready for Christmas, and it really is going to be a wonderful Christmas. And I'd thank you for joining me. And today I'm just going to show you a lovely little wreath that you can make with your family. It's particularly nice to do with small children. It's good for their fine motor skills, but it's also a lovely addition to your Christmas displays, and you can use them as a little gift to give to somebody. I quite liked giving things to older people as a little decoration for their homes, because I do feel quite often they pack away their Christmas decorations or they give them to their families, and then they sit in an old age home without things. So I used to work with quite a lot of old people back home, and that was what I did. So today we're going to need some wire. This wire is approximately 1 millimeter in thickness, and it's got quite nice body to it. We're going to need 2 pairs of pliers, or one if you've got one that does both things. One that's got a nice little edge where you can cut your wire, and the second one that's either round or flat that you could just turn the wire with. You'll need a kebab stick, and the reason for this is that sometimes when you buy your wooden beads, you'll find that the edges aren't very clean. So by pushing your kebab stick in, you can remove any debris that's there and just make sure that the hole is clean so that you can get your wire through that. And then I have some little plastic stars. These I just picked up at a bead wholesaler. I'm sure you could get them online as well. And the process for this is going to be really simple. I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to cut just over 30 centimeters of wire to make my wreath. So 30 centimeters is about 12 inches, or 1 ruler length. So that's 30, and I'm going to give myself just a little bit extra. So I'm going to go to 33 centimeters, and I'm going to give that a snip. Right, and I'm going to put that aside. Now, the reason why we're going to work with the wire as opposed to working with a beading thread is because when you thread beads onto a cord, such as this one here, they tend to just hang as a necklace would. They don't hold a nice circular shape. So the wire is going to be your best friend for today's project. So I've got my wire piece here, and I'm going to use either my round nose pliers or some small ones. And all I'm going to do is take the end, and I'm going to give myself probably about 1/2 centimeter there, and I'm going to bend it over to make a little loop, and then I'm going to just take the pliers and flatten that edge so that it actually doesn't allow any beads to come off. So now you've got a little bit of an anchor there. Now I'm going to start threading my beads, and I'm going to use one wooden bead and then one of my little plastic stars till I've threaded all the way to the end, and this should go reasonably quickly. It's also a fabulous thing to do with young children because it teaches them motor skills. It gives them something they can be really proud of having made, and as I said, it's always lovely for a decoration for an older person who is perhaps alone. One of my joys since I've been here in the UK is being able to have a hot Christmas dinner, because back home in South Africa, quite often on Christmas Day it was sweltering, and we could have temperatures well into the 30s. And I remember one Christmas when I went to my mum, who lived in the country, it was 42 degrees. We were so hot we just didn't know what to do. We actually had to wet towels and spin them in the dryer and sit on them to be able to get in the car because the seats were so hot. But anyway, that was just that particular year. It's not always that hot, but because of the heat, we generally have cold meals in South Africa. So having a nice hot meal here and the real sort of cozy feel that you see on all the postcards has been quite a joy. So you'll see that the beads here are going on pretty easily, and the stars are doing similar. And you can of course adjust the size of your wreath by just using bigger beads, and maybe if you can find them, bigger stars, but you could do this just with beads as well. Right, some of the stars a little bit tight, but that's okay, that's working. So you want to just keep testing to see how big your wreath is going to be. I'm quite happy with that. 1 or 2 more and then I think we're done. And as you'll see, this really doesn't take very long at all. I think I'm going to complete that at that stage. So what I'll do now is I'm going to just take my pliers and just squash this, oopsie, a runaway bead. How dare you? I'm just going to squash this a little bit more so it kind of rests into the bead and locks it securely there. And then I'm going to put this rogue bead back on. And now I'm going to take my wire and thread it through that loop. All right. You want to get this nice and tight and snug. And then I'm going to start just to maybe trim a little bit off at the end here because I want to make another little loop on the other side. So I'm going to trim off that extra edge. And trust me, you want to have that extra piece of wire because if it's too tight, it's going to be really, really finicky to hold. So if you've got a gap at the top, it's going to be okay because we're going to fill it in with some decoration. And this one is a little bit fiddly to do, but you might just need to help a younger child with this. Try and get your wires to lie flat together, and then if you just squash them or crimp them like that, they should slide nicely into the bead so it is nice and firm and it's locked together. Right, so now I'm going to clear away the beads here and then we'll start to decorate this. Right, so I have used a little Ferrero Rocher chocolate piece of ribbon with a bell, not a Ferrero Rocher, lint bunnies, and I've wrapped the ribbon around the wire to disguise it, and I've made a tiny little loop so that I could hang it on the wall if I wished to. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is to take my 3 little cherries that I have selected, and I'm just going to take the one piece of wire and wrap it around the other 2 just so that they all stay together as a unit. That will make life much easier. And now I'm going to wrap this around over the top here, and I'm going to go on the right hand side of the ribbon, back underneath and over the left hand side of the ribbon, and then I'm just going to twist it around at the back like that and just under the cherries so that they actually stay nice and secure and in place. And that means that the actual little loop of the ribbon stands proud so that you're able to get that easily to hang it up, and you've got your little bell. So there is our little cluster of what we've made, and I'm just going to nip off these little raggedy ends here. You could use a little bit of nail varnish just to secure them. I don't know if you've ever tried that, nail varnish or a little bit of glue just to stop them fraying. And then the last thing that I'd like to do is just to position the little stars so that they face outwards and that they look as if they're meant to be there. When they face sideways, they're not so visible. So there we have it, our lovely little Christmas wreath. It didn't take too long to make, and I'm very happy with that. I hope you have fun with your children doing this. It's really easy, and yeah, they'll be proud. They'll look back in years as mine have done and said, oh, I remember when I made that. So wonderful Christmas to you all, and have fun making these. Bye for now.